Multifunction tire, position 5.
Like, and he just has to live with that the whole race. Like, they screwed me. What is going on, guys? That is JJ here, back with a new video, and today we are going to take a look at how Ferrari bottled the Monaco Grand Prix, and also at Charles Leclerc's furious team radio, because we're gonna keep this intro very short and sweet. He's not happy, and I mean, I decided to avoid the one after the race because it's heartbreaking. It's actually heartbreaking. Like, you can't lose at home. I feel so bad for the man. But anyway, we're gonna take a look at Charles Leclerc radio and a detailed explanation from the race on how Ferrari bottled the Monaco Grand Prix. You guys let me know your thoughts on Monaco down in the comments below. I'm happy for Checo. We put the Checo video out, but I feel absolutely awful for Ferrari. But yeah, let's get to the video. As well, guys, you can find the original videos in the description below.
And box now, box now, box for hard.
Like, you're telling him to go in, you gotta go in.
Stay out, stay out, stay out.
Fuck! What
Multifunction tire, position 5. Multifunction tire, position 5.
Like, and he just has to live with that the whole race. Like, they screwed me. Here's the thing. Watching the Checo video on the F1 channel, they gave us the realization that it wasn't this pit stop that ruined Charles Leclerc, it was the first one. It was them deciding too long to wait to put on the intermediates. That's where Checo took the lead in the race. But had they correctly gotten Charles Leclerc in for this pit stop, he would have ended at least in P2 and been given a chance to try and catch and pass Checo to take the lead. Instead, P4. And they gave second to Carlos Sainz. So
Tight with Norris, tight with Norris. Brake balance -2.
like, that man is so pissed. He's absolutely livid. He is absolutely livid, and he has every right to be. He has beyond every right to be. I feel so bad. Okay, but let's get into the race. Let's get into the race's breakdown of why Ferrari failed. Which obviously, I mean, maybe it's not worth going too in depth for, so we'll see. But I need to know everything. I need to know everything about F1 for this. The race, unreal. But yeah, let's do it.
Forget its unsuccessful protest against Red Bull.
Oh, also, wait, on that note, the protest, I couldn't believe they were actually trying to do that. They're trying to change the result of the Monaco Grand Prix after it already happened.
Only has itself to blame for throwing away what seemed like a certain victory in the Monaco Grand Prix after turning a 1-2 in the early stages into second and fourth place for Carlos Sainz and Charles Leclerc. Leclerc didn't even finish on the podium, having started from pole position and then led the first 17 laps, thanks to 2 strategic errors by the Ferrari pit wall. As for Sainz, he had to argue against the incorrect strategy the team tried to put him on, something that might have saved Ferrari from itself, but for an inconvenient back marker getting in the way. Ferrari has a car capable of fighting for the World Championship, but the lack of sharpness meant that in changeable conditions in Monaco, it was outmanoeuvred by Red Bull. And it was nothing to do with Perez or Max Verstappen touching the yellow line at the pit exit, which only became an issue post-race because of a careless error by the race director ahead of the weekend. In the chaos of the wet-dry race and the flurry of pit stops, Ferrari was found wanting. And that left Leclerc, in his own words, disappointed and hurt after another bad day on the streets of Monaco.
Yeah.
Things started well, with Leclerc leading the early stages of the race in wet conditions, backed up by teammate Carlos Sainz. The key to the race was always going to be the pit stops, not just the timing, but whether you opted for a change to intermediates or if you held out for slicks. Red Bull was the first to move, with Perez, who was at that point just over 8 seconds behind Leclerc, but ahead of teammate Max Verstappen, coming in for intermediates at the end of lap 16. This wasn't unduly worrying for Ferrari or Leclerc given their lead, but Ferrari was concerned about Sainz being undercut for second place. Once Perez pitted, they called Sainz in on lap 17, telling him he would switch to intermediates. but Sainz disagreed, believing that it was better to stay out and wait for the chance to switch directly from full wets to slicks. After some consideration, Ferrari ultimately left him out. But that discussion took so long that Ferrari didn't have time to bring in Leclerc on lap 17 instead, something team principal Mattia Binotto admitted after the race might have been a wise decision. Instead, Leclerc was called into the pits for intermediates next time round, stopping at the end of lap 18. Crucially, Leclerc raised no objections to a switch to intermediates as Sainz did, although he had discussed this possibility earlier, but Ferrari also didn't tell him the plan was to take intermediates. Perez's two-lap undercut had allowed him to eliminate his deficit and turn it into an advantage of more than 3 seconds over Leclerc. All of this meant Leclerc stopped for intermediates too late to cover Perez's undercut and came into the pits too early to make a well-timed switch to slicks. The blunder bringing Leclerc in for intermediates sent his race into freefall, but Ferrari compounded that problem with a secondary panic. Ferrari's only way to get Leclerc back ahead of Perez and ensure he stayed ahead of Verstappen would be to nail the switch to slick tyres. So it was not a surprise that Ferrari was twitchy when a group of drivers, Daniel Ricciardo, Zhou Guanyu, Alex Albon, Mick Schumacher and Nicholas Latifi, all switched to hards and immediately set the timing screens alight with new fastest sector times. Ferrari reacted to this very quickly,
so they saw this and said go,
in the hope of gaining an advantage over the Red Bull drivers by stopping a lap earlier. But as Sainz was on worn wets, he was rapidly being caught by Leclerc. The gap that was around 7.5 seconds at the start of the lap was only about 3 seconds by the time he entered the pit lane. Sainz's call to pit came while he was still in the middle sector, but Leclerc's instruction came quite late. It's hard to be precise because of the lag over team radio, but it was likely as he approached Rascasse, the final corner before the pit lane entry. Then Ferrari suddenly changed its mind, having realised just how quickly Leclerc was catching Sainz. He'd taken just over 4 seconds out of him on the in-lap, meaning he'd find the pit box occupied by his teammates. But when Leclerc was told to stay out, he had already dived into the pit lane. Leclerc's fury was barely contained as he knew instantly the team had made a mistake and had to wait while Sainz's pit stop was finished. The time loss was around 3.5 seconds. This blunder from Ferrari cost Leclerc a place to Verstappen, who was around 4 seconds behind Leclerc when Leclerc made his second pit stop.
So I mean, they could have had a 2-3. Ferrari could have at least had a 2-3 and put both of them on the podium in Monaco. But instead, they cost Charles Leclerc's race. They compounded Charles Leclerc's misery.
To pit, he would have stopped on the same lap as Verstappen, who completed a double-stack pit stop with Perez also stopping, and therefore rejoined ahead. Instead, Leclerc's delay meant that when Verstappen squirmed his way out of the pit lane a lap later, Leclerc rejoined fractionally behind. Verstappen then blocked off an attack up the hill, and with the track dry and everyone on slicks, the writing was on the wall. It confirmed Leclerc's fall from first to fourth and meant, while he finally finished the Monaco Grand Prix for the first time, he did so off the podium. To make matters worse, although Sainz's strategy could have worked, he got caught behind Nicholas Latifi's Williams on his outlap, having pitted for hards at the end of lap 21. Latifi pulled past Sainz just as he emerged from the pits and spent around half a lap in front of him before easing off and letting him by entering the tunnel. Perez, who made his final stop for slicks at the end of lap 22, emerged around 1.5 seconds ahead and went on to win the race, chased by Sainz, Verstappen and the unhappy Leclerc. So what was
do we even want
Ferrari's
to go into why they protested?
Well, after the race had finished, it lodged 2 separate protests, one against Perez and one against Verstappen. These were both for the same alleged offence of crossing the yellow line at pit exit. The Perez protest was rejected by stewards after Ferrari accepted that Perez did not touch the yellow line. But Ferrari stuck with its Verstappen protest, arguing that he put part of his left front and rear tyres on the left side of the yellow line in breach of the race director's notes. While both Ferrari and Red Bull accepted Verstappen did have part of his left side tyres over the line, the protest was rejected on the basis that for this to be an infringement, the tyre must be entirely over the line. But it was revealed that a mistake...
Okay, so that was their protest. That's such a dumb protest. Ferrari were screwed anyway, guys. Ferrari were so screwed. I feel bad for them, but at the same time, I don't. Like, they did this to themselves. They deserved this. They deserved their own fate. You had to lay in your own bed and made it. So I was so angry. I was so angry during the live reaction for that. I was so pissed because I was like, how the hell have you guys done that? That's how. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you guys think about Ferrari fans. I know you're probably still going through it. I hope nothing but the best for you in Baku. I'm kind of mad Lando didn't do any better. I thought Lando was going to finish P5 or even try to get on the podium, and he pretty much just got stuck. He got stuck with George Russell the entire race, so it was unfortunate for him. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and peace.